Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech and Productions. Today I'm Bancroft being joined once again by both Jimmy and, like always, Fluff.
Yes, sir.
What's up, people?
And today, as you can tell, Digimon. So if you're interested, hit those buttons. Let us know you're there. Put a comment down below and let us know if you're enjoying the game or not. We are in set 4 for Digimon, and this is actually a starter deck matchup where I'm playing the new black starter deck where Fluff is finally getting his hands on the green one, which he's been waiting for such a long time.
Yep. Yeah, and just to let people know, we have kept up with the game. We just haven't really featured it much on the channel. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more going on. We're getting a regular local scene established. So, look forward to more videos coming.
So my turn 1, and this is the issue where a lot of people are like, the game needs a mulligan or something. I had no rookies in my hand, and I'm using the starter deck, which I think has like 13 or 14, maybe 13.
Yeah, the starter decks have a pretty good spread of what you need for consistencies, but yeah, I think they're a little option heavy for my taste. Then maybe a bit tamer heavy at
I think
times.
it's
So
4 tamers and 6 option cards, if I'm correct. At least
yeah,
mine
yeah,
is. The black one was.
yeah, yeah. The green one seems similar to that.
So I've not kept up with the game. I played it like right when it first dropped, and I picked up the starter deck and kind of twiddled with it, but never really got into it. But something that I've always really enjoyed about the game is that anything that you have in your hand is something that you can play, but it gives your opponent advantage as well.
Yeah,
Uh, which makes this like interesting tug of war you see of the dice going back and forth. If you're not familiar with this game, the Chrono Clash system. It's not something I've yet mastered, and I think it's something I need to work on. Like, what are your tips like to mastering the Chrono Clash system or the energy system of this game?
So, truly, to take advantage of it entirely, if you could give your opponent the least amount of energy, the better off you are. Because if you give your opponent 1 and they don't have any way of like, because there's some tamer cards that will like bump you up to 3 every turn. Or in this case, the green deck has these Izzy cards, which are really good. So I think that's a blocker on the board right now. No, it's not. Sorry, but I have blockers in my deck. If I were to tap one of my cards because of blocker, he could turn around and tap his Izzy's to gain an energy per Izzy he taps. But Fluff also has cards, I think, for free that can just tap cards.
yeah, yeah. One of the great ways to think about the Digimon card game and on a larger scale, the Chrono Clash system is you have to think of it as a statement and response type of game. So if my opponent spends 6 energy and gives me 4, I essentially have to make a response to that statement. And yes, Bancroft fed me a lot of energy there. So in my first turn there, I was able to practically go up from my um, from my rookie to my mega, so my level 3 to my level 6, all within that energy before it passed back to him. But it was basically a response. If you don't do something about this, I'm going to create problems for you. And that's really a good way. So, like Bancroft said, one strategy would be to like choke and just do your math so that you're going to spend energy so it pops your opponent back to 1. Or if they have a memory tamer, you want to spend as close to 3 because 3 is the minimum that they're going to have. Or if you know that your play is going to make a huge statement, you can play a huge statement card that might cost you 12 energy, but might put your opponent at 10, but puts you in a position where if your opponent can't make an applicable response, you win the game the next turn. And as you see here, what Bancroft was talking about with the Izzy, the big thing to me, the big things that came out of this green starter deck were that Hercules Kabuterimon, which has the burst 2, so you remove 2 of the Digivolution cards under it to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then the Izzy's read, when one of your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, tap this card, gain 1 memory. So for Digi bursting and tapping the card that he had on the field, I gained 2 memory, plus I was able to swing through with piercing on the Hercules Kabuterimon.
And the problem with that is that he could tap those while I'm attacking.
Yeah.
And if I only have one energy and I go to attack, he's like, he is smart to hit tap one is he put me to 0. That way, anything from this point on is better for him.
Yeah.
Where if he would have tapped both Izzy, it'll put him to 1, kind of restricts him for his following turn.
Or something else that I've done with this strategy is if my opponent's at 1 and they attack, I tap both Izzy. It puts the opponent at 1. Their damage goes through. Beginning of my turn, the 2 Izzy's restand. I activate Digiburst with Hercules Kabuterimon, tap the 2 Izzy's, and tap one of my opponent's other Digimon. And then I go to 3 energy. And it's basically like it almost steals your opponent's turn from them in a way. And I prefer these over the memory saver
What was it?
tamer.
Spark Hammer? That, like, if it's in the security, it gives you 2 energy. I always hated seeing that. And to be told,
Yeah, hammer spark. Yeah,
I hate these Izzies.
yeah,
It was so frustrating to play against, especially when I had nothing to start with and I had to kind of like play big early on just to get where I needed to.
yeah. It basically is just going to create this control element. Now we are playing starter decks, so I only have access to the 2 Hercules Kabuterimon, so I'm kind of on a timer here. You know, Bancroft could swarm the field out with blockers, which could really stop me. So here I decide to just play out the, I don't know what Kunemon. I'm not even sure what that is. The little yellow worm guy. I played him out so that Bancroft is forced to establish 3 or 2 blockers to keep me from or they would have to be 3 blockers really to keep me from being able to win here.
And I think I can only muster 1 blocker.
Yep. Now, Jimmy, you were asking something there.
I was more so just I got my answer or the question answered about the energy system. But I do notice that the game has kind of evolved from when I played it on set 1 on the English release.
Yeah.
And it does seem quite a bit faster, and I'm seeing a lot more Digivolution. It by faster in terms of going up the chain a lot faster than the what was it called, Rookie Rush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From set 1 when I was playing.
Rookie Rush is still around, and Rookie Rush will. I'm pretty sure after set 5, Rookie Rush is dead finally. But no one in our local group is playing Rookie Rush, which is really awesome to see. And you're absolutely right. You played on 1.0, and 1.0 was, in my opinion, the most vanilla form of the game. There wasn't a whole lot of interaction, and there's still not a large scale of interaction, but there's more effects to consider. Digimon can evolve from tamers now, and there's a lot more factors to consider, and the game generally does move fast. You're able to get a best 2 out of 3 in 30 minutes or less.
It's nice to be able to do best 2 out of 3s for Digimon. And granted, compared to Dragon Ball, rounds could literally take 7 to 10 minutes apiece. I mean, in some tournaments, if I'm correct, they use those timers.
Yeah. Yeah, they use like chess timers where you have 15 total minutes to finish a game, so 7.5 minutes per person per game.
And
I mean,
I don't want to put this comparison out there, but right now, to me, since we brought the word chess up, when it comes to skill, it's still like knowing what to do and knowing when to do stuff is still very important. Where this game's in America only on set 4, I think they're now showing set 6 stuff, and we're getting some cool stuff from there. But it's like checkers to chess when it comes to this game to Dragon Ball right now, because there's not a lot of interactive stuff. Like, Green does have a lot of ability to... Green and Blue both have ways of, like, manipulating their memory better than any other color does, and doing stuff like that during your opponent's turn, which is always pretty nice. And I can't wait to the point where we get more interactive stuff for the other colors.
yeah, we're kind of seeing all of the colors develop into their own little thing. Like, green is definitely energy efficiency and a small amount of control. Yellow is security manipulation. Red is all about hitting hard and making fewer hits count for way more. And then blue's got a lot of digivolution control and memory control and bouncing back to hand. Black is very defensive. Purple is very much so a toolbox. So it's kind of interesting to see where every color is coming from. And I really like the tools that every color got out of these starter sets.
Yes. And we now officially have a starter deck for every color, which is pretty nice.
Yep.
So, correct me, Blitzmon, right?
Yes, that looks like Blitzmon.
Such a better card than I thought it was going to be. It has an ability to give itself an extra 4,000 if correct, and I think it's not this turn, it might be next turn where I give it the ability to be a blocker as well, so it can stop anything that you swing at me. Oh, I think it's evolution before. I can't remember exactly how the chain worked, but it has blocker somehow. That's all I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was big because depending on what is stacked under my Hercules Kabuterimon, I don't know that I can even get over your Blitzmon.
Not when it has that 4K boost.
Yeah, definitely not with the 4K boost. So this is what I was talking about as far as statement and response. Bancroft made a very applicable statement to me. Here's my Blitzmon. This is going to become a threat. I've got another threat coming. What is your response? So my response to him was, I'm going to board another Izzy. If you decide to turn one of your cards sideways, you're going to lose 2 memory, which basically decreases the number of actions in your turn. And then I also have a Hercules Kabuterimon. So whatever you're putting on the field, you better make it count.
Yeah. Sorry. Here's where he gets blocker now. That card, when Digivolution, you give one of your cards blocker, and then the Digiburst is the remove 2. Is it Digiburst?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remove 2 cards underneath it, and that's how it gains the 4K boost. So now it's a 16K blocker. And I was expecting you'd bring out Hercules next, and I was like, it'll slow you down a turn. I mean, granted, yes, like if I were to swing any card right now, it's gonna be game. So instead, I play this bird for 2 energy.
Yeah, which puts me into a deeper position where now I have to really consider what are my best moves. And I mean, I'm still going to get to use the Izzies this turn, but you didn't put your card sideways, so I didn't get another use of the Izzies. Having the Digiburst on the Hercules Kabuterimon gives me an ability to at least do something here.
God, that needle spray. So, being able to tap my Blitzmon, which has blocker, and then to follow up with needle spray to tap the other card so your Hercules Kabuterimon has a target to hit because it has jamming is so clutch. Like I felt like I just felt like these 2 starter decks, like you had everything you needed, and I was just like, I got blockers.
Yeah, and that's really kind of one of the problems with the starter decks is that they're not all created equally. I know we like to say like they are, but they're just not. I mean, when you look at the original 3, red was fantastic, blue was pretty good, but yellow really wasn't. And then you look at this, green is fantastic, and then purple and black, while they're still good, they're definitely not on the same level as green. And if you notice what happened there when I hit with the Hercules Kabuterimon, when he deletes, because I have the Mega Kabuterimon under it, whenever I destroy one of my opponent's Digimon, it trashes the top card of one of my opponent's security. And then he also has piercing, so he also deals damage through. So blowing up one of my opponent's Digimon gives me essentially 2 damage if I have that Mega Kabuterimon under the Hercules.
And luckily enough, my security card was remove a Digievolution chain.
Mm-hmm. Which, keeps me from doing the extra damage. Your Blitzmon getting in for 2 damage here So the tides are turning here where, I have to do something about that Blitzmon because it's eating me. I just have to be able to do something.
And I think you pull a kamikaze on me.
Yeah. This is a thinking game. It is very much so a strategy game. I mean, it's definitely luck based, as with any other TCG, but there's definitively a strategy element to it where you have to think your way through. And sometimes you've got to bait your opponent. You've got to bluff them out. You've got to hope there are good things in your security. You've got to hope your draws are right. But there is definitively a strategy element to this, or it's not blindly swinging for the fences every turn. It's really, you want to set it up to close the game out when you're ready to close it out.
And I do have one blocker on the board right now. If I were to activate that blocker, you would gain 2 memory from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I am okay with taking those early hits because it's a potential trade in this sense. Like I'm losing security, but you're also potentially losing a battle card, which I think you lose one for every single time. Yeah.
Yeah, I basically just lost through it, and that feels bad. I mean, I guess they did their job right. Like, they did do the damage, but now I'm sitting. You could essentially close this game out on me next turn. I'm at 2 security. I have to do something about your board. And you've got another coming in, so you've got 3 coming in. I have nothing on board right now. So you just hit security, you win. I mean, I have to have something here. So there's either got to be something good in my security. I believe I had a blocker, and I was just trying to figure out how best to sequence this because essentially my next just ends it. And I don't remember what I did here.
You paid the 2-drop. Needle spray. That's what saved you right there. Yeah.
Needle spray saved it.
So that way, now you've already put yourself me to 0. If I were to swing with the blocker, it puts me
the
at
turn ins.
Yeah, turn ins.
Yeah.
That's something that was kind of annoying to me when I was playing. How it's luck based. It's just like any other card game. But winning or losing a game based off of a random card has never really set right with me. But I think since then the game has evolved a little to be a little bit more interactive from what I've seen just from these starter decks. I haven't really paid any attention to the actual meta. But it seems like that's sort of like not the biggest deal in the world. Like in this game, it did have a major effect, but it does seem like the cards in security are way less valuable now than they used to be.
It's one of those things where there's always kind of the risk. Like, you got to think of them kind of like trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or counters in Dragon Ball, like where you have counters in hand. Just sometimes there's a punish out there for your particular situation. So knowing the matchups, knowing the colors, like if I'm playing against purple and there's something that I really don't want to get popped by Trump Sword, I'll swing with that first so Trump Sword can't hit it. If I'm playing against red, I know that it's probably not a good idea to put all eggs in one basket. You want to try to go as wide as possible, get multiple lines going, because if Gaia Force gets hit in the security and you only had one Digimon on the field, you probably just lost that game. So, it's kind of knowing your opponent's, it's kind of knowing the strengths of each color. And there is definitively a difference between this and that. But it's a give and take for sure.
So, we go in my turn. I have the 1 blocker here. I really don't want to swing with the blocker because it takes 2 energy to do that. And you did tap out, though. But there's no way of guaranteeing the win then. Because all you gotta do is promote your 1 card up front. You have 2 swingers. I would have no blockers. And that would be it.
That's it. This was kind of me putting you in that position. I bottom decked the other Digimon on the field so that if you wanted to attack with your blocker, you'd have to spend 2 memory to do it. And this basically is just going to put me in a situation where I have to have a solution for your blocker. If I don't have a solution for your blocker, I probably lose.
And you
But
top deck.
I top decked the other,
Like,
yeah.
So I think we talked. I was like, I have the game most likely here, and then I remember you drew the card and you go, "I'm sorry," and I'm like, "You drew it, didn't you?" You're like, "Yeah."
Yep. There was legitimately one card in the deck that
And I think
could have got me out of that situation.
That was the fourth one. I think that game.
Yeah, it was the third or fourth. I can't remember. Those cards are fantastic. They are so much better than Flower Cannon. I will already tell you.
Especially with 2 Izzies on the board because it's free.
Yeah, it basically becomes free with 2 Izzies out.
And for those who aren't familiar with the game, when you put the energy marker past 0, technically it falls to your opponent's turn. But because Fluff had the Izzies able to proc, it bounced it back to his side.
Yep. It put me back at a positive 1 memory, which let me just swing with my 2. So unless you had a security that would have KO'd, tapped, or bounced one of my Digimon or given it security attack -1, I was going to kill you. There's just no way around that. The game is in a fantastic spot. You know, a lot of people get involved in TCGs at early stages, and then they end up not liking the game because it's boring or there's little interpersonal interaction. And like any other TCG, the longer the game goes, the more we will start to see and develop that game's true identity. And while I don't think Digimon's 100% there, the game is moving in a very positive direction.
I mean, I will say, me alone, from 1.0 to 1.5, I built 2 decks. I had in 1.0, I built both my Greymon deck and I built my blocker yellow-black deck.
You didn't do anything at 1.5.
Yeah, it's because it kind of felt the same still.
Yeah.
But
it was the same.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were both sets 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
And now we've actually got set 4. Set 5 is on the horizon. Japan just got set 6. We're going to start getting spoilers for set 7. We're already seeing the first anniversary event and the stuff that's going to come out of that, which there's some really cool reprints coming.
And I don't know. I think we talked before. I don't think we'll ever be at the same level or the same set as Japan. But I think you kind of explained that in the unboxing video, where that's not a bad thing because then we could just they could deal with kind of like the flaws and fix those issues before it comes to us, in the sense like what's broken, what's not broken, and stuff.
I mean, if you look at like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, both games exists like at a staggered 2 to 3 sets behind the OCG or Asian card market, and that basically it's a testing field for the rest of the world. What is a problem? What is happening? And then we may get, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, you may get a broken archetype that you know is going to be broken in the OCG, but you know that at some point that card is going to get fixed. So enjoy it while you can, but within a period of a year or so, that card's going to get eroded. But in Digimon, what has been happening is when we got set 1.5, they preemptively hit 2 or 3 cards. So we didn't even have to deal with how broken those cards were. They were just done. Like, they were limited before they even got released, which I think is fantastic because they weren't high rarity. So they didn't pull for, it wasn't something that you were going to waste a pack on. Like, if you got multiples of them, it wasn't terrible. So it wasn't like pulling a secret rare that's banned or limited.
So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Let us know you're there. Put stuff in the comments. Hit those buttons. They're there for a reason. Jimmy, last words?
I've just been distracted by that little orange shirt motherfucker on the side of the screen right now. Like, he's got like a double cuff going on his shirt. But when you like unravel that shit, like, that's just too big, bro. Like, get a shirt that fits. Like, goddamn, bro, you can afford these damn Digimon, but you can't afford a shirt that goddamn fit. What the fuck?
you have never watched the show. Fluff, can you lead us out?
Yeah, I reckon so. So read your cards, know your plays. Let us make mistakes so you don't have to. If there's something specifically you want to see for Digimon, let us know. And as always, fluff out.